All right, what's up, everybody? We are back here again for the final week of Pete's Power Rankings. Yes, I've gone through, I've watched 99% of all of these games. I've taken notes, I've kept tabs. I'm ranking all 32 teams, 1 through 32, each and every week, and it's finally over. The regular season has come and gone. We're seeing over half of the teams in the league. No more focusing on the draft, focusing on the offseason, but for those 14 teams remaining, a shot at eternal glory remains. But let's just go through, let's rank all our teams, see how your team finished up going into the playoffs, and then for our 14 playoff teams, where they stack up, who I think has a real shot at bringing home this Lombardi trophy. So let's just hop in there. Remember, these are power rankings, not the standings, but let's get into it. Our eliminated teams 32 through 15. Okay, Carolina shut out in back-to-back games to end the season. Disaster season. David Tepper, the new worst owner in football. Washington gonna draft a new quarterback. Rowboat Ron fired finally. New England, still no word on Bill Belichick. Sounds like he might be coming back. Another team in the market for a quarterback. LA, a disaster season. You need to get this head coaching hire right. Brandon Staley finally gone. Justin Herbert gets healthy, but they're in cap hell. The Jets, it's all on Rodgers this upcoming season, the final year. Can Aaron Rodgers finally get this team into the playoffs? Have a decent draft pick. Need to get an offensive tackle. There are a couple of good ones. Arizona, Arthur Smith on his way out. 3 straight 7-10 seasons. Pretty bad for them, but I think this team does have some talent. Another team that needs a quarterback. Arizona, a feisty team to finish the season. Really liked what I saw. They're going to run it back with Kyler Murray. They got 2 decent draft picks in the first round. So this is a team that can really add. It's a very deep draft, and they have a ton of picks for them. Tennessee, send one out, win one for the Gipper. Mike Vrabel on his way out. I think his contract has expired. I don't think they're going to renew it. Denver, Sean Payton, disaster, new quarterback. Let's see how this thing goes. Bye-bye, Russell. Las Vegas, I hope Pierce gets this job. He's not going to get this job, but they played really hard for him. They seem to right the ship. They do need a quarterback. I think Aiden O'Connell was fine, but probably need a new quarterback. The Giants, big boost, ending the Eagles, like crushing the Eagles strong. But again, what are you going to do at quarterback? Tyrod was decent when he filled in. Maybe Danny Dimes, Wink Martindale resigns. It was just an untenable situation between him and Brian Dable. The Vikings, 4 quarterbacks this season. We know what happened there. Kirk Cousins, a free agent. Justin Jefferson needs to be re-signed. Got to figure out what you're going to do at quarterback. Chicago, they own the first overall pick. I think you got to flip Justin Fields, draft Caleb Williams. You should be able to get a second or a third round pick for Fields. You have the first overall pick. You have another top 10 pick, which is their own pick. They should be able to figure this thing out. Cincinnati, get Joe Burrow healthy. They should be right back in this thing. Indianapolis, just really not a very talented team, but they played really hard all season. And Anthony Richardson's going to be back next year. Let's see if he can stay healthy. They project him to be the franchise guy. New Orleans, a horrible start, to like in the middle of the season, like just weren't really anything. Offense blows up down the stretch. Dennis Allen probably coming back. I don't think I would want to keep him, but let's see. Saints, kind of a letdown season all in all with how weak their schedule was. Dumpster fire season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cannot believe this team missed the playoffs. Really unbelievable, like an all-time choke job by Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. And maybe Trevor Lawrence just is an average guy. Maybe he ain't it. And then Seattle, a team that just kind of is whatever, man. I think they're limited by their quarterback play. I think they need to get some more bodies on defense. They need to upgrade at quarterback. But let's get into it here, what everyone came here for. The 14 teams remaining. Let's kick it off with number 14. Okay, up 4 spots. I got the Packers here at 14. I think they're the weakest team of these playoff teams. A good job to kind of turn this thing around, find themselves into the playoffs. Jordan Love played a lot better down the stretch than he did earlier in the year. Still think there's way too many throws off of his back foot that are just going to be a problem against elite defenses. Another thing that's really hurting the Packers, defense has been decent the last 2 weeks, but they were abysmal at a large chunk of this season. Just awful. And now they got to go to the Cowboys, who are the best offense in football at home. This is just a really bad matchup for the Packers. If the Packers, they do have some good luck, some good history against the Cowboys, they're going to need some of that magic against Mike McCarthy and this juggernaut Cowboys team, because I really think that they're just completely outmanned, completely outmatched. But this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. See if we have it with Jordan Love. Now you're going to have to sign him to a real extension, it looks like. And, kind of a moral victory for the Packers to get back into the postseason, I think. All things considered, they were super banged up. One of the youngest teams in the league. So that is a positive for them moving forward. All right, I got the Buccaneers here at 13, up 2 spots. Your NFC South champions for the third straight year. Two with Tom, now one with Baker. Look, it was not easy on Sunday. It was a gritty, ugly win. Baker Mayfield is clearly hurt, but this was an incredible turnaround job. Winners of 6 of their last 7. They really righted this ship. I know the division's kind of a dumpster fire, but somebody had to come out on top. I think this is a decent team. Now, I wish Baker was healthy. He was playing at a really top level, and he made himself $1 million winning this division, making the playoffs. So good for Baker money maker. We're going to need to see more consistency. We need the more chip on the shoulder Baker Mayfield. The problem is defense isn't great. They did a good job shutting down Carolina, but Carolina pretty awful. They've had real problems in the secondary. They've given up a lot of big passing plays this year. Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Chris Godwin are going to have to carry this team, somehow figure out a way to get Rachaad White involved, get him the ball on the ground, establish a running game. Now they're getting a home game. They're playing on Monday night. They have one of the worst teams right now playing in Philadelphia. They are hemorrhaging. So I think it's a good matchup for the Buccaneers. I know they're not the favorites in this game, but I wouldn't be super surprised if, Baker's feeling better this week. They get healthy. Secondary Philadelphia is atrocious. They hit a couple of big plays. Mike Evans, Mr. Reliable. Most of these guys, a lot of these guys have that playoff experience, have that Super Bowl experience. So I think this is a really good spot for them overall. Tampa Bay here at 13. I think this was a really good job. A lot of people picked them to finish towards the bottom of this league and to find themselves in the playoffs and probably a quarterback for the next few years in Baker Mayfield. All in all, successful season for Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers. So Buccaneers here at number 13. All right, at number 12, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Great turnaround. A season that started off really good. Kenny Pickett gets hurt, and they were starting to struggle. The numbers really didn't support it. They're a negative point differential team. Mitch Trubisky comes in. He's abysmal. We go with Mason Rudolph, and he rolls off win after win after win, gets this team into the postseason. Kind of an ugly game on Saturday against Baltimore. One of the worst weather games we've seen this year. I think it was like 20 or 39 and pouring rain. Just awful for them. But this is a team that has a really good foundation. Head coach Mike Tomlin never had a losing season as a head coach. He builds his teams up for these games. And I think Mason Rudolph has added a dynamic level to the passing game. Deontay Johnson with a big pass. They don't get the ball to Pickens, but their option is still there. The running game has now become more available to them. We're seeing a lot more Najee Harris. We're seeing a lot more of Warren. It really helps this game out a lot, kind of opens things up. And I think they're going to have to be able to throw the football to be successful. Now they got to go take a trip to Buffalo, which is an ugly, gritty place. And they're going to be without TJ Watt probably. That's the biggest problem with this team. You lose TJ Watt, you lose one of the defensive players of the year potentially, leads the league in sacks 3 straight seasons. He's just been an absolute monster. And this rest of the defense is just kind of whatever. They've been playing better, but that secondary really still isn't that good. They're going to be able to be exposed by a high-flying passing attack that sometimes Buffalo shows. I don't love this matchup for Pittsburgh whatsoever, but I could see, Buffalo playing a bad game. Buffalo does something stupid, and then that's it. That's Buffalo, and they're done. So I wouldn't count the Steelers out here. I do think this was a really good season for them all around. Very, very solid by the Pittsburgh Steelers just to even get into the playoffs. 10 wins. I know Steeler fans want that championship, but they got to take time. These teams have not been talented, especially without Big Ben. Just not very talented teams. But they win games, man. They win football games. So Steelers here at number 12. All right, at number 11, the other team from Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Eagles. And 11 feels even maybe a little too high for them. This is one of the all-time collapses. They started out 10-1. They go 1-6 down the stretch. This team is broken. They're broken offensively. They aren't able to move the football. They can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. There's no creativity in the passing games. Guys aren't getting open. A.J. Brown now dealing with a knee issue. He should be good to go. They are on the road against Tampa Bay, but it was just a pathetic showing against the Giants. Like, there was an off shot that they could have had a shot at the NFC East. They screwed it up against Arizona and pretty much everybody in the month of December, but they still were in it, and they just did not show up. Nick Sirianni looks completely clueless as a head coach without Shane Steichen. He doesn't know what to do. And then the defense, my God, this might be the worst defense in football right now. There's a couple other really bad ones, but Matt Patricia takes over, and he's just a bum. He's a bozo. He's terrible. He's awful at his job. I don't know what he's doing calling the defense. They don't rush the passer. They can't get to the quarterback. They don't know what they're doing. It's just really bad. And the secondary can't cover people. They don't cover people. They don't make any sort of plays. This is a Swiss cheese of a team. I'm excited if I'm Tampa Bay playing Philadelphia. I think there's a shot that they could expose the secondary. Now, Tampa Bay, not the best defense in the world. Maybe this is a get right game for Philadelphia. And if the Eagles, they do have this experience, they were just in the Super Bowl. Maybe this thing will turn around. I wouldn't bet on it, though. I'm kind of off on my Eagles stock here. It's a really frustrating, pretty awful season for Eagles fans as a whole. Maybe it will all end on Saturday or on Monday night. Maybe that keeps this train going. Maybe they go into Dallas. Maybe they can shock the world. But I got the Eagles here at number 11. Okay, number 10, I got the Houston Texans at 10. Look, it was an incredible turnaround from this team. Worst to first, your winner of the AFC South, thanks to that monumental collapse by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this team went out and earned it. They went on the road in a big spot against a division rival. I know the Colts aren't the best team, but the Colts were right there in that playoff spot with them, and they went and took it from the Colts. The defense gets to stop when it needs to. The biggest thing here is CJ Stroud's been unbelievable as a rookie, better than maybe any rookie we've seen in a long time. Goes on the road, is lights out, throws for 250 and 2 touchdowns. Just a really strong game from Stroud. No turnovers. He's been awesome. Led the league in touchdown to interception ratio. He takes care of the football. And Nico Collins and him have a real special connection going. Wish Tank Dell was still healthy. You're getting Dalton Schultz involved. This is a dynamic offense of the Texans. I do think they need to get a little bit more in the running game. They've had success in the season, but they haven't really sustained that success. They need to keep that up. This is a super young team. I think this is the youngest team, second youngest team in the league making the playoffs. This is an awesome all-around job by DeMeco Ryans. He's not going to win Coach of the Year, even though I think he should. Probably going to go to my man Stefanski, but all-around great job by Houston. I do think they are limited on the defensive side of the ball. They have been able to get gashed. They got gashed by Indy for large chunks of this game. They have been exposed in the secondary, but I mean, this is a huge, huge win for the Texans all around. They're just happy to be hosting a playoff game. They kick it off on Saturday against the Cleveland team that I'm really scared of. But Houston, nothing to be ashamed of here. Great season all around. Texans here at number 10. Okay, at number 9, I got the Rams here at 9. A team that felt like they were dead in the middle of the season turns it around. They get Stafford healthy. Talk about the resurgence of the offense, man. Great season for them down the stretch. They get Kyron Williams back. They pound the rock as good as anybody in this league. They've been dynamic on the ground. And then Stafford just makes plays. Cooper Kupp, not quite himself, but Puka Nacua, the late round rookie, really turning it on, sets the rookie record for receptions and receiving yards. Now, the thing is, the defense isn't that great. This is not a very good defensive unit like they have been in years past. And I mean, this used to be an elite group on defense for the LA Rams. They're kind of just whatever back there. I think they are limited, but this offense is going to be the key to victory. Now, they got to go to Detroit on Sunday night. This is the big matchup. Stafford back in Detroit. Goff versus McVay. This is a really, really interesting matchup. I like the Rams as a sleeper wildcard team. I think the Rams could do some real damage, possibly get to the NFC Championship game, just depending how things go. I know they struggled with San Francisco, but they beat them in the playoffs before. Why couldn't they do it again? They go into Detroit, possibly. I think it's setting up really well for the Rams. They rested everybody this weekend, so they should be healthy, good to go for them. Really dynamic offense, kind of a whatever defense. Should be a lot of fun, but do you really want to face a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a Super Bowl winning head coach in the playoffs? Absolutely not. So the Rams here at number 9. Okay, Dolphins down 2 spots here at number 8. I mean, Miami, I just feel really bad for this Dolphins team. I don't know how they blew this thing, how they didn't win this division, but they've got exposed. They will beat up and blow out bad teams, and they just really struggle against good physical teams. And the injury situation has just been awful for them. It feels like they're losing a starter or 2 starters every single game for the past month or so. It's really bad. They're just such a beat up unit. Now, Waddle should be back for them on offense. Tyreek Hill's nicked up. The running back situation is good. You got to run. I don't know what they're doing. You got to run A-Chain more. He only had 10 carries. He was chunking off yards left and right against Buffalo. Tua's kind of just whatever, not that good of a quarterback. He's a system guy, clearly. He's not going to make any plays. He's not going to do anything special for them offensively. So it really is going to come down to Can they call the right plays? Can they establish a line of scrimmage? Can they get the ground game going and get Tyreek Hill open so Tua can hit him? Because they're really up against it now. Defense is so undermanned, so beat up. We knew this. Like, the defense was kind of the biggest question most of the year. They're old and they're beat up at this point. They're really, really stacked up against it. They got to go to Kansas City now. Now, Kansas City's not playing great ball. Probably the worst offensive team in the Mahomes era. Definitely the worst offensive team in the Mahomes era. But it's like a weather of 0 degrees. Not ideal for the Dolphins offense. I feel bad for you Dolphins fans. I think this thing is probably coming to an end here sooner than you expected. Bad matchup all around. But hey, maybe the Chiefs are just so bad on offense, they can find a way to score enough points to get to the next round. But Miami, you really got to work on this. You've kind of what the Cowboys have been the past 2 years. You got to figure out how to get to that next step to take advantage of not just bad teams, but good teams with your offensive scheming. So Dolphins here at number 8. Speak of the devil, I got the Chiefs here at number 7. Chiefs rested everybody against the Chargers. They're going to need to bring their A game. Look, I know Miami hasn't been good against physical teams, hasn't been good. They beat the Dolphins earlier this year in Germany, but the Chiefs offense has been abysmal, man. It's been so bad. They just can't get the ball to their wide receivers. The receivers suck. They can't catch the ball. Travis Kelce is looking like he's about to retire. They don't even need to double team Kelce anymore. Think they're really going to have to rely on Pacheco, get the running game going. Mahomes can make plays, though. That's the biggest difference here. Mahomes can make plays. It's just like, can the guys just catch the football? Because Mahomes can create. He still is as good, if not the best. He's definitely the best quarterback in this league still. The biggest problem is this defense was lights out for a good chunk of the season. They haven't turned out to be very good down the stretch. They're just kind of whatever. They don't get enough stops. They aren't able to get after the quarterbacks enough. And it's really kind of hurt this team overall as they slid down this spot. They're probably going to have to go on their first road game next week. I do expect them to beat the Dolphins this week. You hate to bet against the Chiefs, but I think this is going to be the first year where we're not really confident the Chiefs are making it to that AFC Championship game, let alone making it and winning the Super Bowl. So I think this is a really kind of whatever year. Chiefs got to figure some things out. Get this man some receivers. Get my man Mahomes some help. Get rid of Matt Nagy. Nobody likes Matt Nagy. He's bad at his job. So Chiefs here at number 7. All right, at number 6, I got the Cleveland Browns. What an incredible job for Stefanski and the Browns. 5 different starting quarterbacks, but Joe Flacco off the couch onto the winning ways, lighting up with this offense. They've got this team figured out. He's done a great job with them. They play elite defense. They got great corners. They get after quarterbacks. They had some struggles in the middle there, but they've been good all around this year. They've been really dominant, and they make life so difficult for teams now because the offense is explosive. Joe Flacco comes in. They don't give a shit. They just sling the rock downfield, hit on big plays. David Njoku, Amari Cooper, just big home run hitters for them. And they got to get more out of the run game. I think Kareem Hunt and, Jerome Ford just not great with Nick Chubb going down. They need a little bit more in the run game. But this is the last team I want to see. They play physical. They play fearless. You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Joe Flacco, something Cleveland has never had or never seen at the quarterback position. This is probably the best Browns team since the 80s going into the playoffs. I would feel very confident if I was a Browns team. Good draw, good matchup, playing a Texans team that's just kind of happy to be there. They do have to go on the road for this thing, but I think the real test for them is going to be obviously next week. Probably going to have to go to Baltimore, and that is going to be a showdown for the ages. I love everything this Browns team does. Sometimes the turnovers will hurt you in this playoffs, but I think I think people are really underselling what it's going to mean to have Joe Flacco as your quarterback in the postseason. We've seen this man be Superman in the playoffs, and it just helps to have that calming presence, that experience. The moment isn't going to overwhelm him, and it's going to really pay dividends for the Browns this thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns upset Baltimore, get into the AFC Championship game. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns lay an egg, Joe Flacco throws 3 picks, and they're one and done. It really wouldn't super surprise me. I would be disappointed with that, however. Big fan of Cleveland going into this playoffs. A super sleeper Super Bowl team, I think. Browns here at number 6. Okay, down a spot. I got the Detroit Lions down a spot here. Look, Detroit really wasn't playing for much, and they played all their guys against Minnesota. and it really hurt them. Sam Laporta gets a knee injury. He might play, probably not going to play. A couple other injuries around this team. Deep draft. First division title in 30 years. First Tennessee home playoff send game one out in that frame. For the Gipper. And of course, they got to play Matt Stafford, their franchise guy for a decade plus. And the quarterback's going against his former head coach who got rid of him. I hope Pierce gets this job. Interesting matchup. Probably the worst team to play in the NFC as that wild card team. You hate to see it for the Lions, but they got to step it up. They've been mean. They've been nasty. They've been no-nonsense kind of team. They're going to have to bring their A game, take care of business at home, and then they're going to go to Dallas. And it's a shame that this game is going to be in Dallas instead of Detroit if both teams take care of business. But this is what the Lions want. This is what the Lions ask for. They're a nitty-gritty team. They're mean. They're nasty. And they like playing that way. So I think Goff, with experience, is really going to help this team out a lot. They need better play from their defense. You can't be, a sieve back there in the secondary because Nick Mullins threw for like 400 yards in 2 games against them. That's a real problem if you're a Detroit Lions fan. We saw CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott light them up just 2 weeks ago. So they got to get the defense figured out, but I think the offense is going to be good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs coming on as an elite running back. They're going to be able to score with people. The question is, can they get stops? Can they help this offense out at all on defense? Lions here at number 5. Okay, number 4, I got the Cowboys up a spot here at number 4. Look, there is no team I think that is happier than way this playoff set up than the Dallas Cowboys. They duck the Rams in the first round. They get 2 home playoff games where they are monsters at home. They should finally be breaking the streak this year, getting to that NFC Championship game. But if they're not, Mike McCarthy's going to get fired, and Cowboy fans will feel a little bit of happiness. Anyway, look, one of the best offenses in football. Dak Prescott has been lights out, especially at home. Offensive line has been a little banged up, but I think they're getting healthier. This is a really good matchup in the first game. Packers are going to be way overwhelmed by this team. Question is, can they duck the Lions? Maybe they get Tampa Bay or even Philly. I know they want to, put down the hurt on the Eagles so they could get a really nice second game in the divisional round, and then it could be setting up for a rematch with the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, and maybe somebody upsets the Niners like the Rams and they're hosting the NFC Championship game. This is legitimately, I think, the best shot the Cowboys have had at getting to a Super Bowl in like 20 years, 25 years maybe. Like, this is the best spot. It is set up for them. Their defense is a solid unit. They haven't been great when they've been pushed by good offenses. We've seen them struggle a bit, but they're doing a much better job at getting after the quarterback. Micah Parsons is a monster. This is a great team all around, I think. The problem is, what is Mike McCarthy going to do? Now, he does have a lot of playoff experience, does have the Super Bowl ring, but he tends to just mess up, shit the bed in big spots, make questionable decisions. We don't have a running game with Dallas, which is really, I think, going to hurt them when you play really good teams. They're so one-dimensional in the passing game. It's a great one-dimension, don't get me wrong, but you need to see more out of this running game just to keep defenses honest, just to try and slow down pass rushes, because you don't want to be in a situation where you got to throw the ball 50 times a game. Dak's under duress, maybe he's getting hit, and you just get a bad tip, a ball picks. We've seen it happen before, and it could happen again. You just don't want to find yourselves in that situation. So I think it's all going to come down to Mike McCarthy and his ability to keep balance with this team, not make bad decisions in critical situations. And the Cowboys are going to find themselves maybe for a 3rd straight year playing the 49ers. And hey, if you get it right this time, you find yourself in Las Vegas in February. But I really think this is setting up nicely for the Cowboys. They would be my second favorite pick coming out of the NFC, obviously behind the 49ers. But I don't think there's much separating these teams. I think Dallas shows up in the rematch. I think they are showing up in the rematch, and they could really make things difficult on San Francisco. So Cowboys here at number 4. Okay, at number 3, I got the Buffalo Bills. Look, Buffalo, what an incredible turnaround. A season that looked like, are the Bills even going to make the playoffs? They get turned it around. They get super hot down the stretch. They end up winning the AFC East in that last game against Miami. Really incredible job. They're now the 2 seed in the AFC, so they're going to get themselves 2 home playoff games, and that means they aren't going to have to go to Arrowhead either. It's a really, really good spot for the Bills here. But I get it. The Bills are super frustrating. There are long stretches where the Bills offense just does stupid things. They make bad decisions. They don't. But when the Bills get humming, they feel like one of the best offenses in football to watch. It's really kind of a crazy thing how they're Jekyll and Hyde on offense. It's wild to think about. But this is a very experienced playoff team. They are a little beat up on the defense, but the defense has been playing much better. They've made those adjustments with those guys out for them. Are the Bills a scary team in the playoffs? I think absolutely. Physically, they can match up with the good teams in the AFC, like Cleveland, like Baltimore. I think they're physically able to match up with those teams and play a similar style. And if you can get more out of this run game, we've lost a little bit in the run game after having nothing and then having a really good stretch there. Josh Allen's got to make 1 or 2 plays a game and be Superman, and he can absolutely do that. Now, Josh Allen loves making bad decisions, loves turning the ball over, doesn't have the best luck in the world when it comes to those turnovers, but he still makes those turnovers. Got to get rid of those. Can't have those in the postseason. You can't have those against great teams like Baltimore. Can't do it. But I think this is really set up nicely for the Bills. They have a Pittsburgh team that I think they're going to be able to overwhelm all around if they can just be consistent. Consistency. Honestly, I would lose my mind if I was a Bills fan watching this team because this feels like it could easily be the best team in football, but they're more just not consistent. More often than not, they are just not that team whatsoever. And consistency is king in this league. You got to be consistent. You're only as good as your last game. And if you're bad the last game, you're a bad team, man. I don't know what to think about with the Bills. I could see this team being one and done. I could see this team in the Super Bowl. That's just kind of how Buffalo's been all season. If they're kind of like perfectly built for this. All in all, I think I see the Bills in the AFC Championship game, probably against the Baltimore Ravens, but Bills here at number 3. Okay, number 2, probably the best team in the NFC throughout the entire season. You got your San Francisco 49ers. We know the Niners are an elite football team, maybe the best team when everything is running and humming, but they have been sloppy and they've been a little inconsistent throughout this year. Now, they rested everybody this weekend. Everybody should be healthy. Christian McCaffrey did pick up a calf strain, but they got the bye this week. They're off. They're going to be able to rest up, get ready. This is a team that is Super Bowl or bust. We know this. They're going to get a decent draw, probably in the playoffs. If LA upsets Detroit, maybe it gets a little awkward playing McVay again, even though Kyle Shanahan kind of dominates him. But if you end up getting Philly or Tampa Bay in the first round, NFC Championship game is a lock, and it's in San Francisco. This is a really good team, good defense, great offensively. You got to keep Purdy protected. He distributes the ball. He's way better than just like kind of an average quarterback. People want to trash Purdy. Purdy's a good quarterback. I'm sorry to say it, folks. He's a good quarterback. But you got to keep everybody healthy. You got to keep everything rolling here. I think the sky is the limit for this 49ers team. If we get into the Super Bowl and we get a rematch with Baltimore, I think it's a much closer game than we saw on Christmas. I think this is a really, really, really good team. I've been saying it all year. I've been high on San Francisco. I would be very disappointed if the Niners aren't the representative in the NFC for the Super Bowl. All right, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. Final number 1 of the year, your Baltimore Ravens. This has been a team that's had some ups and downs throughout the year, a couple of double-digit blown leads, but down the stretch, man, they have asserted their dominance. They've showed why they are the best team in the league right now, an elite defensive unit. Lamar Jackson going to be your MVP, and it's not the numbers, man. It's just kind of just watching Lamar. He just makes plays, man. He makes things really difficult on defenses. Now, they are banged up in the backfield. They got a rotation of guys. They always got a rotation of guys. They got to figure out to get more reliant on the backfield running game. Now, Mark Andrews goes down. You got Isaiah Likely. He's been really good as a fill-in tight end. The wide receiver, Zay Flower, Odell Beckham Jr. have been playing really good. It's the first legitimately good weapon group for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, but they're going to have to lean on this defense, I think. The defense is going to have to be able to be elite in the postseason. They're by far the best defense in the AFC. They're going to have to overwhelm opposing teams, I think. You can't allow teams to put up 25, 30 points against you and make Lamar and the offense have to do it. That's just not how this team is built. This team is built to stop people. The offense churns clock, and then the offense puts up points when it needs to, and then it capitalizes on those turnovers by the defenses. I would bet the Ravens 49ers rematch in the Super Bowl. I know it's cliche. They got to bye. The biggest question for this team, obviously, is Lamar's playoff success. We know Lamar been dreadful in the playoffs since he's gotten into the league, but this is the year. This is the prove it year, and I think Lamar is going to get it done. I think he gets them to an AFC title game. Now, if you play in the AFC title game and you lose to Buffalo, it's not the big, it's a letdown, but it's not like a disaster. If you're one and done again, we're going to have some serious questions about Lamar and what this long-term stability and success can be of this team and this offense, the way they run things if they are just one and done again. But I wouldn't bet on that. So for right now, Baltimore here at number 1 to wrap up the season. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? What are you liking for your Super Bowl picks? Who do you think is going to make it to Las Vegas in February? Let me know. I appreciate everybody for stopping by all year, every week, keeping up. It's been a lot of fun. I love doing these power ranking videos. Again, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We got new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, helps me out a lot, click that join button, sign up for a channel membership. You get access to early content, exclusive content, badges, emojis, things to use for live streams throughout the year. Really helps me out a lot, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.